Hello Nidori Arms and Nidori Knows, it is King Nido here, and today the Fuchsia Royal Gators are going up against the Kotondo Dust Mites, and two sides that used to actually be super effective against each other have evolved to no longer be super effective, but regardless, both sides desperately want this victory. So let us know in the comments below who you think will win. Will it be the Poison type Royal Gators or will it be the Bug type Dust Mites? Let's send it down. Now the Dust Mites are coming in 4th place, so they are in an Elite 4 position, and they want to hold on to that as they start out with Scyther and Arbeliever. It will be Overqwil and Muk starting out for the Royal Gators, and that Intimidate ability of Overqwil will immediately lower the Bug type Pokemon's attack stat, as Arbeliever is going to become a Bug type because it is the Terrastal Pokemon for the Kotondo Dust Mites. The Poison types really want a victory here today too, because they are currently sitting in 10th place and they want to try and get to a higher spot in the Leaders 8. If not try and get themselves into an Elite 4 position, but immediately a Gunk Shot from Scyther onto Overqwil, not very effective. Overqwil will have the chance to respond, and it's going to ride that Surf. This hits everybody on the field, but I believe the Seed Sower ability does get activated, so that grassy terrain takes effect over the battlefield. Muk looking to follow up, going with the charge. It is going to begin charging power here and boost that special defense. Now Muk has that 100 base special defense. We get the Drain Punch onto Overqwil from Arbeliever. Now this would restore, it does restore a little bit of Arbeliever's health right before it's going to restore even more health from that grassy terrain, because everybody who is on the ground, so Scyther will not have health restore as a flying type Pokemon. However, it will try to set up its own grassy terrain, but that does fail. It's already in effect. Overqwil going to go for the super effective Stone Axe, and Scyther is eliminated with that huge hit. A fantastic play by Overqwil, nice and early on in this matchup, and it will cause those pointed stones to float in the air on the side of the Kotondo Dust Mites. So whoever comes onto the field will take some massive damage from that, as the coil will boost the attack and defense as well as the accuracy for Muk here. So it's still not going on the offensive, just building itself up. Arbeliever is going to go for the overheat here onto Muk. Gets a really good hit with that move as well, but it does lower that special attack of Arbeliever. As I said though, those pointed stones that are floating on the side of the Kotondo Dust Mites, such a smart strategy to set that up nice and early, because out comes Frostmoth and immediately takes massive damage from those pointed stones digging into it, and Overqwil is going to follow it up by going for the pound onto Frostmoth, and already it's becoming an easy target. Frostmoth with the extreme speed onto Muk will not do much damage, and Muk is going to respond with the Pluck onto Arbeliever, super effective onto the Bug type, and the Poison Touch ability of Muk is activated, so Arbeliever is now poisoned. It's going to be taking passive damage, and Muk has taken the Leper Berry at the same time. The Royal Gators are off to a fantastic start in this matchup, and we get the Hammer Arm from Arbeliever onto Overqwil, trying to capitalize on that Dark type. This will lower Arbeliever's speed, but with that said, the Poison types are already quicker than Arbeliever. Arbeliever only has that 39 base speed, so it's probably willing to give up that speed, as it does have its health restored, but that poisoning should actually do more than what the grassy terrain restores, so it's only buying it just a little bit of time. Overqwil, however, going with the Peck onto Frostmoth, and it's super effective, so Frostmoth is already taken out of this matchup. Overqwil with its second elimination, and then we get the Shelter now from Muk, so it's going to boost its defense here a great deal. Arbeliever going for the Dazzling Gleam. It's not very effective on Muk, but yet again it capitalizes on that part dark typing of Overqwil, and it did get the critical hit as well. Overqwil does get a little bit of health restored, as does Muk and as does Arbeliever, but still that poisoning is taking Arbeliever down further than what that grassy terrain is restoring. And out comes Slitherwing, who also lands in those pointed stones, doesn't receive as much damage as Frostmoth did, but the Arm Thrust, which is not very effective from Overqwil onto Slitherwing, this multi-hit move barely doing any damage to the part fighting type Pokemon. And I believe that's the 3rd hit. I'm already losing count of this multi-hit move, but again, it is not very effective, and it gets all 5 connections. I apologize. And Slitherwing is going to respond with the reversal onto Muk, which is not very effective on the poison type Pokemon. Muk going for the Reflect, going to make it so it's stronger against physical type moves. And Slitherwing has that 135 base attack, so they're probably trying to protect themselves from it. We get the guard split now from Arbeliever, sharing its guard with Muck, and there is that grassy terrain continuing to take effect. And if this disappears and Arbaliva takes another strike, it will reset up the grassy terrain with that Seed Sower ability. That's if it's still in the field and the poisoning hasn't eliminated it first. As that grassy terrain finally disappears from the battlefield, Overqwil is going to go for the superpower now on the Slitherwing. Yet another not very effective move, but it is also going to lower the attack and defense of Overqwil, lowering those physical stats. Slitherwing could capitalize here, going for the Chloroblast. Overqwil holds on from that not very effective move, but the recoil damage will eliminate Slitherwing from this matchup. It just gave up itself to unsuccessfully try and eliminate Overqwil, and now the Mountain Gale from Muck gets the critical hit on Arbaliva. I'm not sure it needed it, but Arbaliva is eliminated, not before it does leave that Soul ability getting activated though, so the grassy terrain is back on the field. The Fuchsia Royal Gators seem to be capitalizing on that Seed Sower ability, I feel like. And they've eliminated 4 Pokemon from the Kotondo Duskmites. They are still yet to lose a Pokemon. They are dominating this matchup as out comes Kleavor for the Duskmites, and it will be joined by Vespiquen. Vespiquen's going to take huge damage from those pointed stones, being also part flying type. Now Vespiquen does have that pressure ability, and it will exert that over the poison types, but the slack off from Kleavor will immediately get itself back to full strength. Overqwil is going to go with the smoke screen, lowering the accuracy of Vespiquen here, trying to make it so it cannot connect with its targets, and Muck follows it up with the last respects onto Kleavor, immediately taking away the damage, taking away the health that was restored, but the sand attack from Vespiquen trying to lower the accuracy now of Overqwil, and there is that grassy terrain immediately taking effect. Surely that grassy terrain has actually helped keep Overqwil in this matchup, otherwise I think it would have been eliminated by now. And Overqwil with the splash causing nothing to happen, but it has had a fantastic match so far. Kleavor with the false swipe, Overqwil holds on, and it is not a shiny, and we get the Frost Breath onto Kleavor from Muck, gets the critical hit. Vespiquen looking to respond, going for the Psybeam, but it goes for Overqwil, and because of that dark typing, it is immune, and there is its health still being restored thanks to that grassy terrain. Vespiquen does not have its health restored because it is a part flying type. Kleavor with the arm thrust gets the first hit. Overqwil holds on, but the second hit, Overqwil is finally eliminated from this matchup, and the Kotondo Duskmites have finally got one on the board. Looks like they're celebrating it down there on the field, but they have a lot of work to still do as Muck responds with the Fire Spin onto Vespiquen. Is super effective, and Vespiquen is going to be trapped in that fiery vortex, so it's going to continue to take damage from that Fire Spin. It responds with the Grass Pledge onto Muck, which is not very effective. Muck tanks that move. Kleavor has its health restored, so does Muck. Muck has taken barely any damage in this matchup, as Vespiquen is such an easy target on the field right now. The Reflect for the Royal Gators has worn off, and out comes Glimmora for the Fuchsia Royal Gators, immediately going with the Flame Wheel onto Kleavor. A critical hit, surely that part Rock type, and kept it in this matchup, as it sets up a sunny day over the field. That sunlight will turn very harsh, beaming down on the field. And Muck with the smack down on the Vespiquen, super effective, and it gets the elimination. Kleavor is all by itself. It has 5 poison type Pokemon to contend with. Thankfully, it does have a little bit of health restored from that grassy terrain, but Muck is even at a higher strength than Kleavor is at the moment, and Glimmora is going to go for the pound onto Kleavor. Not very effective due to that part rock typing. Kleavor is going to respond with the Aura Sphere, and a critical hit onto Glimmora there. Muck for its side, going with the Psychic here onto Kleavor, and Kleavor holds on, but Glimmora could finish it off right here, right now. Goes for the Earth Power, and this will sew things up. The poison types have dominated this matchup. They only lost 1 Pokemon, and that was Overqwil, and Overqwil had a fantastic showing, but with that, the bug types should have dropped out of the Elite Four. And that they do, they actually drop all the way down to 8th, and the Royal Gators have moved above them into 7th. And next round, the Royal Gators will be taking on the Akala Capsules, whereas the Bug types will be going up against the Olivine Carbons, and I have a feeling that will be a tough match for them. But until then, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on the field. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I'll see you when you see me.